Poetry is my first language. Yes, it's English, but specifically poetry. It has managed to help me in so many aspects of my life, and has continued to help me on the journey which eventually led up to a diagnosis for ASD. There are an estimated 75 million autistic people worldwide, which is 1% of the world's population. Although a lot of people are diagnosed as children, there are a fair amount that don't find out this information until later in life. Boys are believed to be 4 times as likely to get a diagnosis as girls, but this varies depending on things such as their level of autistic traits, how good they are at masking, and also how the people in their environment react to their behaviour. Some people encourage the freedom to show autistic behaviour, while others might expect those with ASD to suppress it. If you know someone who has ASD, or even someone who is unaware of it, always be kind and respectful. The differences between people are also what can bring us together, and how we can learn and adapt as a race of humans. It has taken me a long time to realize I have been suppressing and hiding my complete self, which is probably why I haven't had a diagnosis up until adulthood. But how does all of this relate to poetry, I hear you ask? Well, let me explain. I often feel constricted by the limitations of my vocal cords. For as long as I can remember, which is sort of like a guitar expected to play without any strings, constantly confined to the prison of my shyness and selective mutism, I desperately hungered for a means of communication that didn't require well-timed small talk, mind reading of body language, or fast-paced back and forth tennis tournaments of the throat. It's difficult to keep up in this busy and noisy environment we call planet Earth. It can be a struggle to think at all, or even process how you are feeling. That's how I found poetry, when digging deep inside myself, like a Russian doll of undiscovered mystery. It's not just written forms of poetry I've grown to love either, but the strong desire to recite them, adapt them, scribble them down on dirty pages in frustration, and even lucid dream about their everlasting words and wisdom. I mentioned this in a previous video, but I want to expand on it here. It all started back when I was just 15, tired and troubled by the Brillo pads of my youth. Somewhere stuck between stone silent and the urge to scream my lungs out, it came to me. Never planning to be a poet, I did automatic writing. That kind of blind writing you do, where words hit the page before you can comprehend them. I realised it rhymed more and more, and then I partially discovered who I was. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I got my autism diagnosis, discovering another part of myself, but without the self-reflecting medicine that poetry has brought me these last 11 years, maybe I wouldn't have been so honest in my identity in the first place. On the days when my tongue still recoils in my mouth like a frightened cat, I can coax out my fingers instead, wherever they are residing. Sometimes in my pockets, waiting for a bus, or glued to my sides in long queues at the supermarket. I have been able to tempt them with a succulent and undeniably easy and accessible choice of a notepad on my phone. That same cat, which is a metaphor for my self-acceptance, finally has a shelter from the rain and is very well fed in the form of verse and the flavours of sonnet. The angry claws of my doubts are outweighed by the need to give a middle finger to those same doubts. If I can package up my depression and anxiety in a nice little bow and shove it in a folder, then I take ownership of such pain and disorder. I win, so to speak. The pain is still there, the insecurity, the apprehension, the ambivalence. But poetry makes me taller. It gives me a height to see past the trees of uncertainty. That lake of knowledge, a bit further in the distance, seems reachable. I can wash my face in the clarity of it. That's why autism and poetry are perfect to coexist. Not because of the beauty of it, although that is there, but because of the ability to deep delve into oneself. It's also bridged the gap between people who are unable to understand me and what I really want to say, without all the pretense of verbal skill or well-timed circumstance to bring it up. I have a voice, a written voice. It's loud enough to at least make a dent in the minds of those I wish to enter. I'm not here to change everything, and I'm not about to dictate how people should live their lives, but poetry has aided me in a way that I will always be grateful for. It's a symbol of logic and order within the chaos of my own consciousness. I hold each page as a mother holds a newborn baby, mesmerized by what a human soul can create, if it really commits to a concept or an idea. I believe everybody is a poet in their own way. Regardless of writing or fancy language, poetry is how our souls respond to our needs to express them. It's a weightless freedom in the moment, without hesitation or egotistical denial. Sublimely yourself, and always yourself. I guess once again, that's a bridge between unmasked autism and poetry. As you are listening, it might occur to you that you understand some of what I am saying. Either you have found poetry has helped you, or you know that feeling of openness achieved by a new form of communication. Either way, I wish you happiness, opportunity, and hope within your words. The gratitude for your own creativity, opinions, and personality can flourish like the rose it was always meant to be. Those thorns are a part of its beauty. Don't deny them, don't shame them. It's all a part of being a human in this vast reality. If you are autistic and if you are not, there's something truly special about unfiltered spirit, soul, and heart. So this is where I leave you. I've now come to the end of this video. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. But more importantly, be yourself and take care of yourself. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.